So we're in Paris with Yannick Nézet-Séguin, and actually it's his birthday today, so first of all I'll start by saying happy birthday, Yannick.
Thank you so much.
And also bravo for the concert yesterday with Rotterdam. It's a fantastic concert.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we're going to be talking about the tour with the Philadelphia Orchestra.
Yes.
In June. I just have a few general questions about the orchestra and your relationship with them to begin with, and then we'll be talking more about the programs.
Good.
So, the orchestra has a history of relatively young music directors.
That's true, that's true.
And I think Stokowski was in his 30s, as was Ormandy and Riccardo Muti as well. You were only 37 when you became music director.
Yes.
And how did you feel when you found out?
Well, of course, that was it was really love at first sight with this orchestra, and it's all about chemistry. And I found a group where it felt, even from the first minutes, first seconds even, I would say, of making music with them in rehearsal, a group which felt so familiar to me. It's almost as if we had met in a previous life. So even in my first visit as a guest conductor in 2008, I think the seeds of what was to come was already in the air, and it was a huge honor when a few months later, a year or so later, we started discussions about me becoming the next music director. And I think it has to start with the love for the musicianship and that chemistry, and I sort of couldn't avoid it, and I felt it was a huge honor to be in the footsteps of such wonderful music directors before me, and as you said, most of them started at a similar age originally with the orchestra.
And I always feel with the Philadelphia Orchestra, they have such a friendliness. And also, they do have a youthful spirit.
Absolutely.
And I just wonder, is this a coincidence, or is this because they've had this tradition of young music?
I am not sure. You know, for me it's very important value to make music in a wonderful environment of trust, of cooperation, of friendliness, yes. And I think it might be related to their specific sound. We talk a lot about the warmth of the sound of this orchestra, the generosity of this sound, and I believe it has to do with the generosity of the personalities, and yes, maybe the youthfulness, but it's not necessarily because there's so many young people. I think it's also, I find youthfulness in our most senior members who have been there for ages now, and who are carrying this spirit so well, and it's very inspiring for me to see.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with, it's not so much the youth in years, it's more like the spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was you've already answered my next question about what is the Philadelphia sound for you.
No, it's true, it's hard to describe that sound. It had to do with many things historically, having a lot of players really well aligned originally, it was a very well trained orchestra, very disciplined, but at the same time with an encouragement of a lot of individual input in the strings, for example, about the free bowing, which is everyone bowing differently, so to create a more lush and rich and sustained sound. This was encouraged by Stokowski and by Ormandy, and was carried on afterwards. But I think it goes beyond that. It's not only about the strings, it's also the woodwinds, it's also the percussion, it's also the brass, and it has to do with that keyword, generosity. Every single member of this orchestra contributes personally to the sound, and that is not obvious, because you have many groups, many ensembles where it's all about being submitted to the leadership of the leaders of the first chairs, for example, and there's a much different sound coming out of that than encouraging that the very last stand of the cellos and the very last of the four trumpets is contributing as much as the leader, and this is really a key to keep nurturing for me that sound as the music director.